Okay, so let's start the interesting topic of DHCP server. Even though I'm going to get into the finer points of DHCP in chapter 6, Introduction to the Internet Protocol, where we are going to learn everything about the IP, I just want to give you some basic insight into this service server here. So let us get started. In essence, DHCP server, that is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, as the name suggests, assigns IP addresses to hosts. Now, this protocol gives us a much easier way to administer by automatically providing the IP information than the alternative and tedious method of static IP addressing. Now, a DHCP server is configured by the administrator with a pool of addresses which can get some addresses of the limits. Now, these are called as IP addresses used by the DHCP server. DHCP server isn't on the same segment as the DHCP client, and this is one of the main hitch of the DHCP server. The broadcast won't be received by the server because by default routers will not forward broadcast. Now, this property of router I have already told you in the previous lectures. Now, there's a figure on the screen. I want you to pay complete attention to that figure. Now, in the figure, router A is configured with the IP helper address command on the interface E0 of the router. Let me show you. Router A, here is router A, is configured with address E0 on its interface. The router A will forward that request as a unicast, meaning instead of a broadcast, the packet now has destination IP address of the DHCP server. See, this is the DHCP server. So as shown in the figure, you can configure router A to forward these requests and even use multiple DHCP servers for redundancy if needed. You can see here are the multiple DHCP servers. This works because the router has been configured to forward the request to a single server using a unicast or by sending the request to multiple servers via a directed broadcast. So you can see the router is going to forward single request here. Now, personally, most of the time I use a Windows server to act as a DHCP server for my entire internet work and have my routers forward the client requests. Now, it is possible to have a DHCP server on every network segment, but that is not necessary because of the router's forwarding ability. Now, in the next lecture, I'm going to tell you about the DHCP operations, in which you're going to learn if when a device or when a host approaches the DHCP server for an IP address, how is that process exactly takes place in the real internet network. So in the next lecture, let us see the DHCP operations.